Okay, my friends, let's talk about AI, artificial intelligence. We've been hearing a lot about it lately. So it's something that computers learn by experience. They adjust, they the computer learns from new inputs and kind of performs human-like tasks. So examples of AI is Siri, Alexa, Netflix recommendations. Like some of these AIs have been around a long time, even though we're hearing a lot about a particular kind of AI recently in the headlines. Um, this has been in the works for many, many years. So let's look at the types of AI. So there's the machine learning, algorithms that learn from data, predictive, like based on old results data. It can make predictions based on the past data that it's been learning from, image recognition, spam filtering, predictive text. You know, when you're typing, it kind of knows what you're doing based on the first few letters. There's deep learning, so uses neural networks to learn from data. So speech recognition, facial recognition, self-driving cars. Uh, I've been in a Tesla when that's been going on, and it's like awesome and scary at the same time. And then the ones that we're probably thinking about is the natural language processing. So interactions between computers and human language. So think Chat GPT, Bard, Bing, chatbots. These are called generative AI. So here's the recent innovations in generative AI, these large language models, ChatGPT, Bard, Bing. There's also this really cool thing going on, image generators. So using AI to just create an image based on your verbal prompts. Look at my little picture here. I'm imagining going to one of these services and saying, hey, I want a student in a classroom, but I want his head to be broccoli and flowers in his pocket or whatever. I don't know what the prompt would have been, but that's what we got. Um, and then industry tools that are being built on these technologies. So in our case, in the world of education, there's all these tools that are coming out called, one of them that we'll look at is Magic School. There's a whole bunch of them. So we'll get into that later, but it's really coming. Of course, one of the most popular ones is ChatGPT. That's the one we've heard so much about. So you can either try this now, take a little time out and try this now, or we found that if a lot of people are in the same room trying to create accounts, um, something gets flagged and they start keeping us from making accounts. So you might have to go back to your classroom or go create your account at home if you get a block from creating your ChatGPT. But we're going to talk about what it takes to really get what we want out of something like ChatGPT. And it's all about the prompt. It's all about the prompt. About the prompt. Okay, sorry about that. So a prompt is truly just natural language that you put in to instruct the AI to do a specific task or make you something. There is a good prompt structure. And so let's take a look at what a good prompt looks like. So we have a student that's caught cheating. I am a high school principal, assistant principal. I need an email to inform a student or inform the parents of the consequences of a repeat offense. So anyway, I'll let you read that. That's what makes up a good prompt. Here's a bad version of the same thing. You'd still get results, but it may not be as good. Write an email to a parent about their child cheating on a test. Yeah, you might get an output, but it won't have some of the things that you really want in it. So your output is only as good as your prompt. Let's look at what makes for a good structure of a prompt: context, details, format, and tone. Okay. So let's take a look at our good prompt and what's all involved. So the context is that I've told it I'm a high school assistant principal, or I'm a middle school language arts teacher. I'm a fill in the blank. Okay. And then of course all the details. You can be as verbose as you want. And of course, the format is an email to the parent. If I would have said I want to write a formal letter, it would structure it with the return address. It would look like a formal letter. So this is just an email. And then of course the tone, I want to use a pretty formal tone because it has some consequences to it. So let's take a look at kind of good prompt summary. Of course, we have our structure of a good prompt. Be detailed, but let's talk about this. We're going to talk a little more. Never include student or personal information. Keep it generic. And then it's Chat GPT, not Search GPT. And what do I mean by that? Converse with it. Have it ask you questions to further refine its output, and encourage the AI to ask you clarifying questions. You can say, "Hey, ask me some clarifying questions," or something even more specific. It will start refining its results based on the inputs that you give it. Okay, so let's start talking about some of the issues and the disclaimers that we need to use with AI. First of all, I hinted at it. We have some privacy and regulations issues. So even ChatGPT's terms say, "Hey, we might use the content you put in here to train our model." Um, and so we do not want you to put any student data or any type of personal data, identifying data, total FERPA violations, because what has happened is some of these things can come out in results of other people's requests of ChatGPT. So, because it's learning from this body of language. I have some articles in here that would be fun for you to explore some of the real life consequences of some of these things. The other thing is these hidden and maybe not so hidden costs. So AI requires an immense amount of energy. The research shows that it costs almost $700,000 a day to run ChatGPT. So they have to make their money somehow. And I don't understand all this terawatts and hours and annually, but it's a lot and it's costly. So even if it's free now, it likely won't stay that way. And if it feels free, it might be that they're selling your data somehow too. So obviously we need to be super savvy when it comes to free stuff and what actually is helping it be free. Another really kind of category of responsible use, but it's frightening, is what we call AI hallucinations. So sometimes it'll just make stuff up. It'll look very beautiful and like authoritative, but it's not even real data. So there's some links in here. Well, first of all, ChatGPT got sued over some issues where it just gave false information. This lawyer started citing cases that because he was using ChatGPT to help him make his arguments, and they weren't even real cases; they were fake. How embarrassing would that be? Also, another consideration, you may have heard about all these strikes in the creative arts world, like with writers in the making movies and things like that, or even imagery and that kind of thing. Who owns that? It's if I ask it to build me an image like I had on that other slide, it's learned from all these other images that might be someone else's property. So it's learning. So just because it's unique and new based on your prompt, who really owns that? So there are actually, we're going to find out more because it's in the courts right now. Intellectual property and copyright. AI powered crime is so much easier now. It's these deep fakes, things that look so real, but they're not. Robocalls, but it sounds real, and all the things. And so I have some links mimicking voices, even for hostage. Sounds like somebody has taken your child hostage and they've used their voice, but it's actually not even true. Read some of those articles. It's fascinating. And of course, AI makes it so much easier to spread false information and propaganda. So we're pretty familiar with that in the political season too. Here's an interesting thing that a lot of people don't consider. AI amplifies the bias it was trained on, which makes sense. It's just learning from all this information. But if there's biases baked into that, so the article linked here is that Amazon scraps a secret AI recruiting tool that showed bias against women in hiring. So I'll let you kind of look at that. The image generation, if I did a prompt, hey, show me a surgeon, 98% of the results were white men. It even became a life and death situation in that An algorithm that was used blocked kidney transplants to Black patients. Race correction. Gender bias revealed in AI tool screening for liver disease. Twice as likely to miss liver disease in women than men. So we need to treat AI carefully. Do not use personal information, identifiable information. Just remember, it amplifies human bias. It's super expensive. So if it's free, it may not always be free. You can't trust the output always. So make sure you verify. Super easy to be a scammer these days, especially with tools like this. And of course, bias. So, future of education. What does this mean? Here's some just discussion questions if you all want to take a minute or two to contemplate these things. What does this mean for us in our work? Matt O'Brien always says, just because you know how to use a device or service doesn't mean you know how to use the device or service effectively or responsibly. And I would even add ethically. So our students, our kids, because this AI is not going away, it's going to be part of how we do things. Think abacus to calculator to, whatever, it's here. But we need to train on responsible use, bias and misinformation, and of course, serious security and privacy issues. Okay, so that concludes our high level. We're going to dive into some tools. So there'll be a separate video for that. So hopefully that was helpful.